Ford, it's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend
So
on.
they went ahead and cut that ass up. They said, they was like, we ain't doing it like that now.
And I want to help you feel you out. But it's coming to
Check that out.
bankrupt person or family law. I want to help you. I can be reached at 501 503 5095. Don't pay for this alone. The attorney who's primary objective provides you with the best legal representation. Our office is 415
Yeah, but all these states, Hawaii just legalized, decriminalized marijuana. So that stupidity that they're talking about here in Arkansas is nothing but it's a money grab. That's what it is.
Instruction are made specific to my personal goals. Kim Leverett and her certified personal trainers even offered nutritional guidelines for my personal workout. It's about me at a Kick Above. Call 501-860-8850 or go to akickabove.com. Now, what am I wearing tonight? Thanks to a Kick Above, I live.
I still understand that they keep saying that we already doing that. Fucking big deal with the ordinance.
Right. Why won't you just vote it?
Yeah. You already doing it, so why is it a big deal?
Because we know smart people, smart black folks know that they ain't doing it.
Or 664-2992 or call our toll-free number 1-877-HABIBI. Pull-ups, hospital wheelchairs, simply diabetic supplies, underpacks, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
Hell to the old gold, hell to the black. The Little Rock Center High football Tigers are back. Head football coach Kent Left to lead the Tigers into a promising 2019 football season. Catch all of the great home game action. Tigers home game against Rogers Heritage, North Little Rock, Bryant, Cabot, and Fort Smith Southside. Former Tiger player W. Coleman brings you all of the exciting play-by-play analysis. Hell to the old gold, hell to the black. The Little Rock Center High football Tigers are back right here on JoyRadio.com. You got it in the Orthodox answer to your aggravation.
All right, man, take it easy.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus.
We're working on streaming live here.
In mind, where we focus on our issues,
Can't tell you when,
our
but it's coming.
solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, what's happening? It's the Thursday. It is Thursday, isn't it? Wow, the Thursday edition of Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us if you want to join the show. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today, both locally and nationally, so we'll get into that here in just a moment. I want to welcome my co-host Robert Webb to the show. Hey, Robert, how you doing? Hey, we just hanging in there, bro. We just trying to make it happen. You know how? You know what I'm saying, dog?
I know what's happening, play.
You know. So other than that, life keeps just rolling along. But that's what's going on, bro. Let's see here. I don't know what's. We'll have the Facebook Live feed up. Go ahead and download that Join That Radio app. That way we can check and see how many people are listening to the show. And we can also use that for our broadcasters as well, or at least our prospective clients. So we can track that now. And we've been tracking it. So, by the way, we've got the password for the tracker that we've been trying to get. So we've got that taken care of. Cool. So a lot of stuff to talk about today. I'm going to read the tease for you today. Let me just pull it up real fast, and then we'll go from there. I'm glad to know that the Messiah has come. So, no, you ain't white.
I'm the Black Messiah, homie.
So I'm glad.
Don't you forget it.
So the Messiah has come. Okay. So, and if you believe that, you're a damn fool. I'm just going to say it like that. Hey, Jackie, how you doing? The Living Memorial in Elaine, Arkansas has been destroyed. We'll talk about that. Hey, Cliff, what's happening? Thanks for joining the show. And states all across the country are decriminalizing marijuana, but not Arkansas. Wonder why. We'll follow with that stupid vote that took place at the city board the other night. And do you know what the literal translation for MAGA is? M-A-G-A. I'm going to help you to something today.
Oh, make it ready again.
Yeah, do you know what the literal translation for M-A-G-A is? It's going to blow you away, okay? You will be surprised. And lastly, no NFL ownership for Jay-Z. What? Wait a minute. What a sucker. So that's what's on the agenda today. You can call us up at 855-525-5683. Go out and download that Join That Radio app as well. That way you can get the full effect of the show. And so before we move forward, we gotta make sure the show is right. So we've got to do black facts. And so you think reparations aren't in play, huh? Wait till you hear this black fact.
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
Does the name Henrietta Wood mean anything to you? It didn't to me until I read this story. Yeah, Cliff, you can call him. It didn't until I read this story. And I'll be honest, I had never heard this. So check this black fact out. This is from the Smithsonian.com. You know that big white museum, that one in Washington. Right. No, I'm clarifying that so you black folks out there that are listening who may not believe this, it's in the White Museum in D.C., so it's got to be true. Okay? In 1870, Henrietta Wood sued for reparations and won. Hello?
What'd she get?
She sued for $2,500. On April 17th, 1878, 12 white jurors entered a federal courtroom in Cincinnati, Ohio, and to deliver the verdict of a now forgotten lawsuit about American slavery. The plaintiff was Henrietta Wood, described by a reporter at the time as a speckled Negro woman, apparently 60 years old. The defendant was Zebulon Ward, a white man who had enslaved Wood for 25 years. She was suing him for $20,000 in reparations. 2 days earlier, the jury had watched as Wood took the stand. Her son Arthur, who lived in Chicago, was in the courtroom. Born into bondage in Kentucky, Wood testified she had been granted her freedom in Cincinnati in 1848, but 5 years later, she was kidnapped by Ward, who sold her, and she ended up enslaved on a Texas plantation until after the Civil War. She finally returned to Cincinnati in 1869, a free woman. She had not forgotten Ward and sued him the following year. The trial began only after 8 years of litigation, leaving Wood to wonder if she would ever get justice. Now she watched nervously as 12 jurors returned to their seats. Finally, they announced a verdict that passed that few expected. We, the jury, in the above entitled cause, do find for the plaintiff and assess her damages in the premises of $2,500. Though a fraction of what Wood had asked for, the amount would be worth nearly $65,000 today. It remains the largest known sum ever granted by a U.S. court in restitution of slavery. But Wood's name never made it into the history books. When she died in 1912, her suit was already forgotten by all except her son. Today, it remains virtually unknown, even as reparations for slavery are once again in the headlines. I first learned of Wood from 2 interviews she gave to reporters in the 1870s. They led me to archives in 9 states in search of a story, which I tell in full for the first time in my new book, Sweet Taste of Liberty, a true story of slavery and restitution in America. Now, this article was written by Caleb McDaniel. You know what? I'm going to reach out to Caleb because I'd like to hear more about this story. All right? So here's the thing why this is important. Because it's precedent. You get that, right? Typically, when you go to court and there's something that you're asking for and it has never been done, a lot of times that works against the plaintiff, unless there's precedent. And as you heard in this story, this has been written out of the history books. In fact, I had no idea that there was a black woman who had sued for reparations and won. And because of this should be the basis of every case going forward. I'm just saying. And that's our Black Fact for today.
Black Focus Radio. For more dynamic Black facts, our culture, our history, our people. On JoyNetRadio.com.
And don't forget, you can sponsor Dynamic Black Facts. Give me a call at 615-554-0568. Let's hook this up. Also, if you are a business owner out there, I want to remind you that we are going to be broadcasting the Little Rock Central football games, and we have inventory available. That means advertising spots available for you to advertise your business. Little Rock Central is the largest high school that graduates over 500 alums every year. What person or business owner wouldn't want to be able to broadcast and advertise to those people? So you need to call me because those slots are going fast. All right? Call me at 615-554-0568. I'm already getting responses on Facebook about what I just talked about with Henrietta Wood, that they had never heard that. Now, look, as much as I know, we got a new app, bro. Yeah, it's the old one that we have access to now. As much as I know about Black history, I was stunned when I read that article. Okay? So, again, all of you running around out there saying that it's not possible, how is it that an ex-slave in 1870 can sue and win reparations? Although she didn't get the amount that she was asking for, she got an amount. So you all tell me again why we're afraid to ask and demand reparations. That story is profound, and we have to be aware of that. So spread the word that if you want to read more about Henrietta Woods, that story is on my wall. As a matter of fact, I'll even do you one better. I will repost this article. And by the way, it is, so you all will know that it's true because y'all know how y'all get. This is through the Smithsonian Magazine and Museum. So yeah, it's real. Yes, it is. Okay. Oh, I just saw something. Priest says, fat women won't go to heaven. And a woman runs up on stage and knocks him off the stage. Oh, man, that's crazy, man. Anyway, so let's start with this. Robert, what does MAGA mean?
I told you already. Make America great again.
Nope. So you all will know, an American journalist recently took to social media to share his bewilderment after discovering the meaning of Magga in Nigeria. What makes it more interesting is the fact that the slang is also obviously used in America. Both the Nigerians and non-Nigerians are having a field day over this. Okay? Under President Donald Trump's regime, Make America Great Again is the motto widely recognized and used by supporters of the controversial president of the United States. His controversial ways, however, have also earned him a lot of criticism and backlash from a lot of Americans. Now the popular slang, when written in its acronym is spelled MAGA. Where it becomes hilarious is the fact that the word MAGA is a popular slang in Nigeria, which is used to describe a stupid person who has fallen prey to a con artist. Y'all get that? A famous American journalist identified as Kurt Eckenwald recently made this discovery. With surprise and amusement, he took to Twitter to share the hilarious finding. Most amazing thing I learned today. MAGA, like Make America Great Again, is in Nigerian parlance a word that means easily fooled idiot. So, hey, there it is for all you MAGA folks. Nigeria knew what you were long before the rest of us did. Pow! Let me tell you that again, all right? The word MAGA in Nigeria, MAGA, stands for stupid people who have fallen prey to a con artist. And this has been apparently at the heart of jokes in parts of Africa ever since Donald Trump started running for office. And it just so happens that a local reporter Arkansas, a U.S. reporter decided to go out and do some research. And there you have it. So now you understand all of these people running around with MAGA hats, okay? So if you got a friend who has a MAGA hat, you might want to, when you call him stupid, therein lies the meaning of the word. I'm just saying. So I thought that was pretty interesting. 855. That is sick. I mean, you can't beat that, man. I mean, but it fits. You know what I'm saying? It really fits because you have to ask the question, let's take whether you like Donald Trump or not. But when someone consistently lies to you over and over again, when someone says that they're going to do something and has never followed up on what they said they were going to do, doesn't it stand to reason that if you continue to follow that person, there's got to be something your elevator might not be going all the way to the top floor?
If you even got an elevator.
You see what I'm saying? Because at some point you got to look at this guy and say, wait a minute. Let's take it in different terms. You're dating someone, okay? And every time that person says something to you, it's a lie. Do you keep dating that person? Now, some of you all might. But me, you know what's worse than a thief to me is a liar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
What's worse, and I'm just saying me. Now, Robert, you don't have to agree with me. I know I thought I saw a red hat in your truck the other day. But what's worse to me than a thief is a liar. Because, see, once you tell a lie, you have to tell another lie to back up the lie that you told. And it gets to a point where you've told so many lies that you don't even remember the first lie that you told.
Don't even resemble the truth.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I did.
So this guy has lied ad infinitum to infinity and beyond. And these people are still following him. So at some point you got to start saying, well, wait a minute. We know what Donald Trump is. The question is, what's wrong with those people who keeps following this liar? That's the problem here, man. So I think, the saying is certainly appropriate. Stupid people who have fallen prey to a con artist. Mm-hmm. That's what MAGA stands for. MAGA. All right. So there you go.
You hot right now. You getting like Big Rizzy.
Oh man. Let's see what else we got here. Rizal came in on one this morning. I wasn't going to talk to him because I didn't want him. I didn't want him to.
You don't need to go to court. No. I know the feeling though.
Yeah. I'll tell you when it first hit me. That old Richard Pryor joke.
Yeah, just us, right?
Just Us. If you all don't remember it, I can't play it because it's risque. But black people. He basically says black people go to court seeking justice, and all you see is just us.
Yeah.
And when it first hit me was when I went to court back in. I was in Memphis. Went to 201 Poplar, and I was down there for a hearing. And as I looked around, it was just us.
I'm gonna tell you something extraordinary. When I remember the first time it ever really slapped me in the face was I got a traffic ticket, probably, and I know this is gonna sound terrible, but I got a speeding ticket probably about 5-6 years ago, right? Any other time, I would have went through all the proper channels to not go to court. But this time, I just said, you know what? Nah, I'm just going to go to court, right? I go to court, man, and I walk in there, and I look around and go, damn. I'm looking around, and I'm like, come on. Mm-hmm. Is it that black people have this do black folks have like a propensity to break the law that other folks don't have? Do we have something in our genes? No. That makes us criminal, and that's what I was standing there thinking. Like, how does this happen? And I was in there, man. I actually because I went early, I wasn't on the docket, right? Mm-hmm. Because the court date they gave me, I was going back to town, so I went early. Mm-hmm. So I had to wait till the whole thing was over, right? And man, I sat in there for 3 hours, and in 3 hours, I counted the white people. The black folks filled it up, right? Mm-hmm. But the whole 3 hours I was there, you saw about 26 white people come through there. And most of those were young white kids, right? That was it. And I was sitting there like, this ain't right. This ain't right. How does this happen? That's when I realized, man, your police got to be targeted, man.
Of course they are.
They've got to be targeted. They've got to be profiled.
Of course they are.
Doing that because there's no way you can have that many black people. And I mean, some of the tickets were just ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. You had one kid. They said that he was speeding, and they said he was speeding and he ran a stop sign. Now, what's interesting is the kid said I was sitting at the stop sign. I was sitting there, but he said I was speeding. But then he gave him a ticket for running a stop sign.
So he bundled the charges.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
And then he still had to pay the fine, right? I mean, it was crazy.
But here's the other thing. I don't know how it is in Arkansas, but in Tennessee, let's say you go and you prove that your case is that the police lied or the information was incorrect. You know what they do in Tennessee? You still have to pay court costs.
Yeah.
In other words, now if you are found not guilty,
still got to pay court.
You should not have to pay court costs. Costs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's the same thing. To some degree, the same thing happens in Little Rock. But what's problematic for me, man, is that nobody has went in and said, okay, there's got to be something wrong here. Now let me explain why this is important, right? The court system has a budget of about $3 million, right? Now, nobody's ever asked how much revenue they generate. Because, man, you think about it, for all the people you'd have coming in that court, I want to say there were like 10 rows. There was like 12, I think it was 12 seats on about 6-7 rows, right? So that's 70-some people. It stayed full. You have people outside waiting for other people to walk out so they could come in and sit down. Yep. It stayed full. And they had a pack of tickets, man. One lady had a box of tickets, another lady had a box of tickets. Now, you know how thin those tickets are, right? And they had like a shoebox full of tickets.
Yep.
So imagine how much revenue that court is generating, but we don't know how much it is and where it's being spent.
Well,
my thinking would be that money would be circulated back into the community by what you took it out of.
So think about it from this perspective. I recently got a ticket. All right. Ticket is $195. You get that, right?
Yeah.
Ticket is $195. Let me say that again. So you round that up to 200. Look, if it's 20 tickets, that's $4,000. Okay? So imagine on a regular on Monday through Friday how that works out. The money that and I don't want to get into it yet, but I think that's part of the reason that they refuse to
I don't disagree.
They refuse to decriminalize marijuana in Little Rock. Now, we saw this a little bit in Sherwood. That's basically what they were doing in Sherwood. That's what they were doing in Ferguson. We've seen where small towns use the poor to undergird their budgets by arresting them for petty crimes. So, okay, all right. So, if that's the case, then therein lies the problem.
Yeah.
Therein lies the problem. So we'll keep that. I want to swing back around to this because it follows what happened Tuesday night. I talked about it a lot on Wednesday, but I want to get your thoughts on it as well. So, but I want to cover a couple of other things here real fast.
Okay.
Before we get into that, Jay-Z will not become NFL owner. You know, and I'm bringing this up again because there were a whole lot of y'all carrying water for Jay-Z. And y'all were acting as though Jay-Z had done something special. You know, Jay-Z bailing people out of jail, that's not something new. People have been doing that for years, okay? Jay-Z buying mama's, turkeys or clothes or backpacks for school. People have been doing that for years. And as I said the other day, corporate America does not need to be applauded for doing the things that they ought to be doing anyway. Because if it's not for the people who are buying their products, if it's not for people who are buying those records, then Jay-Z wouldn't be in the position that he's in. But the argument was that Jay-Z was doing this because he was going to be part of the NFL ownership. See, I knew that was a lie because I covered the NFL in depth. It's a difference from when you cover the NFL from the inside out as opposed from the outside in.
Right.
And I understand the mindset of these owners. Okay? Look, Jay-Z is not the first black billionaire. There are others. There have been black people in the past who have wanted to own NFL franchises and have been turned down because this is a unique club. If you go back and you look at some of these NFL franchises, there are only 1, 2, maybe 3 of them that have changed hands since their inception. Okay? So they don't change hands. The 2 that I can think of off the top of my head is the Dallas Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns. And the reason I can remember Cleveland is because and the Carolina Panthers, but the Carolina Panthers is relatively new.
Yeah, that's
if you I'm talking about the ones that have been here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, they don't change hands.
No,
that stuff
they
is
own them for hundreds of years.
Exactly. So let's say for the Tennessee Titans, who were formerly the Tennessee Oilers.
Right.
That the current owner, the first owner was Bud Adams.
Yeah.
The current owner is Amy Adams Strunk, who was Bud Adams' daughter.
Right.
You see, those NFL franchises don't change hands.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
Generational wealth.
Exactly. So all of you folks running out there talking about, well, Jay-Z's getting a seat at the table. No, he isn't. He was never going to get a seat at that table. He was never going to be able to get an NFL franchise because them 32 owners understand that they got a cash cow.
Yeah, man.
Look, let me tell you something, man. The NFL earns $9.8 billion a year.
Split between 32 teams.
Split between 32 owners.
Let's say they only split because you got overhead. So let's say the NFL takes $4 billion. They still split $5 billion.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm gonna do the
You
math.
see what I'm saying? You mean
math.
NFL? You mean operating costs?
Operating costs.
So this is why you all have to read between the lines and just simply don't take stuff because it looks good and sounds good. He was never going to get an ownership. He might get a minority ownership, but you know what that means? You still don't have a voice. They use your money. They'll put money in your bank account.
They get 156. Let's just say they get $156 million a year. And we ain't talking about nothing that's happening with the stadium.
Right.
We ain't talking about all that. We just talking about all the other stuff.
Exactly. So I just wanted to throw that out there because a whole lot of y'all trying to defend Jay-Z as if he had done something fantastic and he's going to become. No, he wasn't.
No.
And you didn't know that because you don't understand the inner workings of the NFL.
Yeah.
The NFL, believe it or not, man, that's a racist organization. I'm gonna tell you, bro. That's a racist organization.
But they would not be racist if they let us buy a team. If they let me and you buy a team, they would no longer be racist.
There you go.
They would no longer be racist.
Yeah, because Jay-Z. Yeah.
But Jay, you know what, man? Like I said earlier, JC is a capitalist, and I understand what he was trying to do. I don't blame him. He saw an opportunity, he seized it. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him, but I don't think he's done.
So let me tell you what happened at the Miami Dolphins training camp the other day. Kenny Stills has been a outspoken critic of their owner, Mr. Ross, because Ross has a Rise Foundation in the Miami area to help inner city kids and poor kids. Kenny Stills is one of the few players who still will kneel for the national anthem. He called out Ross last week. I don't know if you heard about this story. And because Ross is having a fundraiser in Martha's Vineyard, well, they had it last weekend for Donald Trump. And Kenny Stills called him out and said, hey, doesn't make any sense. You're throwing the rock and hiding your hand. You're pretending that you care about poor people and black people, yet you're supporting an outright racist. Okay? So they had a meeting. Kenny Stills come out of the meeting and said they have to agree to disagree. So you know what they did to Kenny Stills this week?
What?
They were playing Jay-Z music.
Oh, that's nice.
In training camp.
That's nice.
You see, you get that, right?
Yeah. But I think it's important that we understand something. And I want to make this point very clear. I hope I can articulate this in a way that everybody understands it. So, as a businessman, I want to have the upper hand on other guys that I am working with, right? Not only that, but I also want to have access to people in positions of power to help me matriculate through the system, right? So if I got a call from Governor Hutchinson, he said, hey, Robert Webb, I need you to throw me a fundraiser. As a community advocate, I'd be like, F you. But as a businessman, I'd be like, how many people you need to be there? Because again, y'all, that's something that we need to start understanding about how this game works. If we want to matriculate through the system, we need to understand how the game works. Dave, I might not agree with your politics, but you do have access. So guess what? I got to raise you money. Even though I don't like you, even though I don't agree with your stance on issues with politics, I still have to be supportive of your candidacy. And I have to try to raise you money because I need your ear. If you're president, I need the EPA to get off my back. I need to be able to call you up and go, hey, can you pull the EPA off my back? Or if the FBI is up in my stuff, I need to be able to call you and go, hey, is there any way you can slow the FBI investigation? If not completely kill it, right?
So what you're saying is you want to be able to participate in the corruption.
Exactly. If I'm a businessman, exactly. That's what I need.
Because that's what you're doing. That's corruption.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But that's what I need, though, Dave. I need to have that kind of access. If I'm a businessman on that magnitude, I need to have access to people like the president, senators, congressmen, even Supreme Court justices, whoever they are. I need to have access to them, right? And the way I get access in politics is with money. And so I understand that. And I think, again, I think that we collectively should understand it, and we should start doing some of that. We're going to have to change the way the game is played. We can't expect to win playing by the same rules we've always played by. We got to change up the rules if we want to win this thing.
I understand your point, but before we start supporting them, we need to start supporting us.
I don't disagree.
That's where it starts. Okay. Another story out of Memphis. We talked about this story a few weeks ago. You remember the story we talked about where the young man in Memphis was in a grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
And stole a beer and ran out, and the owner ran out and shot him dead.
Yeah.
Well, apparently the owner has been convicted of second-degree murder. Now, of course, the owner's name is, and this was probably an easy conviction, the owner's name is Anwan Ghazali.
So he's a black man.
Actually, he's Arab.
Same.
Well, he's actually black.
As they say, he's a saying.
Yeah. No.
He's a saying,
Yeah.
bro.
So it was easy to make that conviction, but actually this happened back in March 2008. So here's the funny thing about what the prosecutor said. Okay? It's funny, but it's not. The defendant took it upon himself to be the judge, the jury, and the executioner. Mm-hmm. You get that right?
Yeah. They don't say that about police, though, do they?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
You got that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a prosecutor who said, and there have been multiple police shootings in Memphis.
Right.
I'm wondering if this same prosecutor, her name is Laura Fowler, will say that when those cases start getting on the docket. I just found that interesting, but at least this particular, and look, I'm going to be totally honest with you. This store is in a black neighborhood. I know exactly where this is, in South Memphis, as they call it.
So he said he was judge, jury, and executioner.
Exactly.
I like that, though. I like that. I like it. I honestly like that.
So
unfortunately, never use that in cases where police shoot black men, but it's cool.
So let's see. Ghazali's defense attorney told the jury what the video also shows are the actions of an innocent man, a man who didn't believe shotgun fire hit the teen. You should have never fired the gun at him. Okay, his life was cut short when he was chased, and shot. And he was shot 3 times, according to the story. So I guess you could say that's justice. But again, I guess you could say it's segregated justice. Another story that I've talked a lot about on Black Focus Radio: high school girl files federal complaint for having to race boys who identify as girls. A female high school athlete who didn't qualify for a track event because 2 boys who identify as girls ran faster filed a complaint Monday at the Department of Education Civil Rights Office. No one in the state of Connecticut is happy about this, but no one has enough courage to speak out.
Okay.
All right. Now, let me tell you why, and I've talked about this a lot. And a lot of people, when I talked about this on the Weekly Sports Magazine, I had a couple of gay rights people try to take me to task. Oh, you anti-gay, you homophobic. No, I'm not. You can do whatever you want in your bedroom. But see, here's the problem when you start talking about athletics and men competing against women. There's a reason why that doesn't happen. All right?
Why men don't compete against
Right.
women?
Or, for instance, let's say the toughest, what's the sport? UFC fighter. Mm-hmm. Mixed martial arts fighter. Let's take both from both sexes, men and women. Let's take the highest class, which is heavyweight.
Okay.
Or super heavyweight, for
So
that
you
matter.
tell me you're going to throw a woman into this mix.
Okay, so if I'm a super heavyweight man and she's a super heavyweight woman,
Okay.
because of his stature, his strength, his physiology, he's going to be stronger than her. Period. That's not homophobic.
That's just true.
That's physiology. Okay?
Okay. Just
So
because of the way he's built. Just because he's a man.
Exactly.
Just because of his gender.
Just because of his gender. So if I am a man who all of a sudden says, oh, I think I'm a woman and identifies as a woman, that's fine. That's what you want to do. Fine.
You cool with that?
That's his thing. Or I guess you say her thing. Okay?
How it works out.
You know, just like Bruce Jenner. All right? What's her name now? Caitlyn. But the point I'm making is, when it comes to competing against women, because my physiology, what I was born with, is going to beat that woman every time. Okay?
Okay.
And I went as far as to even see the one sport that we can identify the very differences in male and females are track and field. Okay? Track and field, although you have people in lanes beside you, but you're not necessarily competing against them. You know who you're competing against? The clock.
Yeah, you're racing against. It's a race against the clock.
It's a race against the clock.
I agree with
So
that.
on my show, I pulled up all of the world records for the 100 meters, the 200 meters.
Okay.
I pulled up for men and women. And not Flojo, I believe, if I remember correctly, still holds the world record for the 200 meters.
Okay.
Usain Bolt holds the world record in the men's division for the 200 meters. He's a whole 2 seconds faster than her. You get that, right? So if you're going to make the argument that, hey, transgender men who should be able to speak to compete with women, that's just wrong. And I hope this young lady prevails in this suit, because at some point we have to draw the line. There's another case where a guy who was competing on the men's track team, who identified as being gay, didn't make the track team on the men's track team, so he then goes and changes his gender, and they allow him.
Wait. He changes his gender because he didn't make the track team?
He was already identified as gay. Okay?
I'm done.
He was competing against the men.
I'm done.
As a man. He failed to make the qualifying time for the men's team.
How old is this cat?
This was college. He failed to make the qualifying time for the men's team, so he joins the women's team as a transgender woman.
Is he going through the change?
He had.
This is what's problematic for me with this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You get into my sports now.
Mm-hmm.
That's problematic for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because listen, if you were born a man,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't give a damn what you got now. You should still be participating in male sports.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. If you were born a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you were born as, that's what you should compete as.
But see, I'm glad you said that.
Because I'm done with all this.
I'm glad you said that.
This is what irritates me. As a man, right? I am stronger than a woman just because I'm a man. Like we said
Exactly.
earlier. Just because I'm a
Exactly.
man, right? But if you throw a cat over here with the women, then of course he should excel.
And that guy I was just telling you about,
Yeah.
he won that 400 meters against the women.
He should.
Exactly.
I mean, and I know women gonna say I'm being a chauvinist. No, I'm not.
No,
being a
it's not being so
I'm
chauvinist.
just saying that he should. Now, if it was and I'm not being. I know this could sound really chauvinistic, but like just thinking traditionally, if it was a cooking class, yeah, if he didn't win, I would be like, yeah, it's okay.
No, but I cook, so
my point is,
I'm just. Yeah.
I would be like, it's okay, right? But when it comes to sports, man, I'm to some degree, it depends on what it is. I'm kind of a purist, right? So yeah, stay in your dang lane. If you are a man, you run with the men. Because the thing is, bro, if you wasn't good enough before, you should really feel like crap if you got to change it. If you got to go over to the women and run with them.
And this is happening all over the country. Now let me show you the difference. So let's say, for instance, a woman transits to a man. We see that all the time. That to show you how flawed that is. If she's let's say she's a 400 meter runner, she decides that, hey, I want to transition to a man. She still has the female physiology.
Yeah.
She's not going to be able to compete with those men.
No. Even
So-
if she didn't have the, even if she had one.
But let's keep it where let's just based on this argument that some of the transgender people are trying to make is that if I'm a man and I transition to a woman, then I ought to be able to compete with a woman in sports.
No.
But if all things are equal, if a woman decides to transition as a man,
But it hardly ever happens.
oh well, it does.
It's happened a couple times.
It does.
I know the lady did it who wanted to be a wrestler. I know
Right.
She did it.
But she doesn't compete with men. She can't compete. So my whole point is that the physiology of people, this is where you have to draw the line. Okay?
I don't disagree.
This is where you have to draw the line. And that's why I keep talking about this. And this young lady who was potentially going to get a scholarship, now because two boys transitioned and started competing on the girls' team, these women have been knocked out of opportunities to win scholarships. That's just wrong. You know, now if you want to call me homophobic, go right ahead.
Well.
I don't care. But at some point, you know, we can't fix everything.
I'm sure some racists were saying back in the 50s what I'm about to say. Oh, well.
Well, we can't fix everything. Okay.
I think to some degree. I mean, that thing in particular, that's problematic for me. In particular, this whole situation, especially when it crosses over into sports.
So now there's another issue, and I watch. Believe it or not, my first love was track and field.
Right.
Okay, so I watch. I'm one of those people who I watch the World Games. I watch the World Championships, all of that stuff. I watch the Steve Prefontaine games. All of that stuff that if it's on TV, I'm checking it out because I'm a huge track and field fan. In fact, I would love for Little Rock to develop a international track so we could bring track and field to Little Rock. But that's another story for another day. There's a person by the name of Caster Semenya. She's from South Africa. She has been barred from competing against the women in the 400 meters because her testosterone levels are higher than normal. Okay?
Okay, say it again.
She has been barred from competing against the women on the world stage because her testosterone levels are higher than normal as it relates to women. Okay? Now here's the difference. And I support...
Is she a woman that was
let me finish.
Is she transgender?
I support Caster Semenya. Here's why. Because Caster Semenya was actually born a woman. Okay? She just happens to have very high testosterone that she was born with. All right? So they were trying to make her take injections.
Estrogen injections.
Yeah, to limit her testosterone. Now, that's not fair. She has woman plumbing, everything. She just has, and I'll be honest, she kind of looks like a man. But the fact of the matter is that she was born a woman, she ought to be able to compete with women.
I agree.
All right?
I agree. Totally.
Regardless of whatever her testosterone levels are.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
understand that. I don't understand that.
But someone who was born a man, who then decides for whatever reasons, I'm not judging, that you now are a woman, you should not be able to compete against women. Because actually, your physiology is a male.
I believe you should.
That's just what I'm saying.
You should compete. You should compete in how you were born.
Exactly. And that would solve the
Can
problem.
be done.
And that's an excellent point. Whatever you were born, the way you were born.
You can do whatever the hell you want to
Right.
do.
If you want to transition, that's fine.
Yeah. But if you were born a man, you compete in man sports. If you were born
Exactly.
a woman, you compete in women's
Right.
sports.
And
That's
you
the way
should
it
not
works.
be able to, you don't make the male team,
You should be able to say,
And then
you
you
know
say-
what? I want to go on the women's team.
and that's exactly what some of these men have been
And
doing.
I disagree with that.
And they are shattering women's records.
I disagree with that.
This needs to be, this is easy.
I disagree with that.
You know, this is a field goal. This is easy.
It becomes
you know,
convoluted, man. Everything
exactly.
becomes convoluted.
So-
I mean, and not only that, you got sisters who work really hard
Exactly.
really hard to try to set records and break records
Yep.
and that kind of stuff. Then you get guys who transition to girls, and then they break these records. I think that's really unfair. I think that's really unfair.
Yep. So just a statement from this young lady. Her name is Kelsey Bowler. She said, I haven't been the only one affected by this. There have been countless other female athletes in the state of Connecticut, as well as my entire indoor track team. We missed out on winning the state open championship because of the team that had the transgender athlete on it. That's just wrong, man. You know, one thing about athletics and competition is that everybody ought to start at the same point. Okay? There should not be favoritism. And track and field, and if y'all doubt me about what I'm saying, go out and pull up some of the track and field records. If you go from, it doesn't matter where you go, whether it's the pole vault, whether it's the shot put, whether it's the hammer throw, whether it's the javelin, there is no woman, if you take the first place woman and the first place male, guess what? She's, if it's a shot put, she's yards behind him. The javelin, the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
You see, because of her physiology.
Yeah. No,
So it makes no sense what they're doing with athletics now, and track and field has got to get their hands around this. And these school systems.
I think track and field has been impacted more so than any other sport.
Yeah. But see, track and field also can show you the difference.
But
You see?
Well, I think nobody wants to be insensitive, right? And to some degree, I don't think this is about being insensitive.
It is not.
This is about what's right.
Exactly. And like I said, you can't fix everything. You know what I'm saying?
Even try.
You know, you can't fix everything, and I understand that. Look, I'm not anti-gay. I'm not homophobic. You know, I have relatives who are gay, who I love them to death. You know, all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, some things are just right and some things are just wrong. And what is happening, and this, by the way, this case is taking place in Connecticut. This is just wrong. I believe in competition, man. You know, back in the day, man, we had our girls' track team won state. Them girls were bad. Gloria and Marcella Holloway, you know, Gloria Russell.
Myself.
Man, them girls could roll, you know. So just think if the men were competing against them. There's a reason why they don't compete against one another.
Yeah.
There's you know, I was laughing the other day, you know, this soccer player, this U.S. Soccer team on the world team, they showed her where she kicked a 55-yard field goal.
Okay.
And everybody said, see, women can play football.
That's a field goal.
No, they can't.
Let her run back a touchdown.
And here's the other
Let
point.
her run back a kickoff.
Do you think that there aren't men who play soccer who can kick a 55-yard field goal?
Yeah, you know, I mean, what troubles me about this whole women's lib thing is that women are always trying to compete with men.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to compete with each other.
Right.
There is no competition.
Right.
There. But for whatever reason, I think it just stokes the fire to say that there's a competition there.
I agree. 855-525-5683. You know, they're upset. You know, the women are upset because they're not getting the same pay as men.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
as white men.
well, I'm talking about as far as the World Cup is concerned.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So and I was talking to a lady about this one a couple of weeks ago, and she got red-faced upset with me. Oh, you're just gender biased. You know, she started throwing all those feminist terms at me, and I started laughing. And I asked her, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, how long have the women been competing in the World Cup? There have only been 8 World Cups. Mm-hmm. Okay, you get that, right?
Yeah, women been there the whole time, right? Or no?
There's only the men's World Cup dates back to 1925.
That's a while ago.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the following, the money, the prestige, all of that has went back almost 100 years.
Right.
There's only been 8 women's World Cups.
Yeah, I see your point.
So when you say we ought to be getting the same money as the men's World Cup, no.
Well, that's a good conversation to have.
You see?
That's a good conversation to have. But I think, you know, if you're not looking at revenue, so this is a little bit different than talking about somebody who works in an office, right? This is a little bit different. So when you start looking at this, it's kind of like the WNBA and the NBA.
Right.
Women keep saying we should be making what the NBA
No, they
players are
shouldn't.
making. Well, you don't generate the kind of revenue the NBA players
Exactly.
generate.
And by the
If you
way,
did,
they wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the NBA.
Right, but if you could find a way to generate the kind of revenue that the NBA generates, then yeah, you could play those outlandish salaries. But you can't do it now. I mean, once you can, then it's all good. I mean, yeah, once you generate the revenue, then yeah, you can do that. But everybody will say, no, they should be paid just like the men. Well, if they're not generating the same amount of revenue, they're gonna be able to work soon.
Exactly.
Because nobody can meet the contracts.
Exactly.
You know, so.
And by the way, I said 1921. 1930 is when the Men's World Cup.
Okay.
1930. So
I got to read you this thing that
Okay.
your boy Scott Green sent us.
all right.
So he's supposed to be calling at some point. Scott Green sent us this, man. He said, it has been brought to my attention that you all recently made some disparaging remarks about the Little Rock branch of the NAACP not being responsive about the Little Rock School District placing armed guards in its schools. As a member of the same branch's committee meeting, I can assure you that your indictment is not without merit. However, the branch is inundated with reorganizing due to an untimely change in leadership. We are making every effort to regain our footing as quickly as we can because we realize there are members and non-members alike depending on us to stand in the gap when it comes to eliminating civil rights disparities. Personally, I am flattered beyond measure that you hold the Little Rock branch in such high regard to be a force to be reckoned with. And I promise you, we will not let you and your listeners down. We are sensitive to the issue and developing a formal response in short order. Unfortunately, the Little Rock branch is somewhat short-handed, addressing a plethora of disparities within the community from political, social to economic, and yes, even educational. That being said, I invite you, everyone at Joinet Radio, and your loyal listening audience, to become members of the Little Rock branch so that the issues that you have raised can be effectively addressed. Anyone interested in committing themselves to fight our community's injustice can contact me at 501-773-1824 or email sgg21963@gmail.com, and I will personally deliver a membership application to them. Until the Little Rock branch formally addresses the LRSD regarding armed guards, please consider the following opinion of this one member in good and regular standing. 1, I am in favor of keeping the disruption of learning along with any criminal elements and threats to school safety outside the schools and not the students that are assigned to be educated. 2, I would assign special resource officers, SROs, to guard the perimeter of school properties as the first line of defense to prevent attacks of violence from possible threats by intruders and perpetrators of school safety. Allowing trained counseling psychologists and social workers to address internal behavior issues. 3, I would only expect SROs to make their presence felt when alerted that a breach in school safety had been compromised by a facility member or student that threatened the life and well-being of others. What started out as protecting students from negative outside forces has now turned into an experience where the students are the victims of their protectors and too often looked upon as the perpetrators and villains themselves and are attempting to function in what some might refer to as a police state. In order to offset the need for these troubling conditions, there must be some reinforcement and support. Parents must first and foremost be responsible for the discipline of their children and not employees and contractors of the school district. They must also commit to being accountable to bear the consequences of detrimental behavior demonstrated by the children. Teachers need to be adequately trained and demonstrate that they have the skill set to de-escalate volatile situations so that physical force is unnecessary. And the Little Rock School District must invest in a student-to-counsel mental health professional ratio that will adequately aid students needing help in making adjustments in their behavior to becoming productive adults. While some school resource officers or uniformed police officers will interact and attempt to build relationships with students with well-meaning intent. Others might overreact and create circumstances that will have long-lasting and detrimental consequences, especially at schools that are predominantly attended by students of color. Those situations, more often than not, will lead to consequences of suspension, expulsion, and arrest at a higher rate that funnels kids into the criminal justice system. For those reasons stated, I am vehemently against armed guards being placed inside Little Rock schools. So that's the letter he sent us, man, after we...
So he's going to call the show?
He's supposed to call in at 12:45. Maybe he's running a little late, so
Okay.
hopefully he'll get the call.
All right, we're going to talk. We'll talk about this after the top of the hour because I have some questions. I hope he does call because my question is, whose rights are you fighting for in NAACP?
Yeah.
Blacks, Hispanics, gays, whose? Just asking. Back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. David Coleman, Robert Webb, and the Hizzy. 855-525-5683 is the number. We got to take the top of the hour break. Back in a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready from Sumter, South Carolina. It's Minister Lee Burgess and Resurrection. Minister Lee Burgess and Resurrection, a talented bunch.
Appreciate everybody joining me today.
Have been doing this a little
See what
while
we got
now, but
on
have
the
just released for
breakdown
your
here.
enjoyment their new single.
Save me, Jesus.
Save you, Jesus.
Save me, Jesus.
Minister Lee Burgess and Resurrection.
So we've had as
This
many
new
as
project is
15.
available on all digital outlets.
We're down to 10.
Get yours now and catch up to what everybody's been talking about. Minister
They don't give us
Burgess
they don't
and
break it
Resurrection.
down no more like
Call
they used
now,
to.
803-847-6227. That's 803-847-6227. And enjoy Minister Lee Burgess and Resurrection.
Save me, Jesus.
So this is where our streamer is. So that's why we always get that.
Hey, lock this number.
But-
501-406-7134. That's 501-406-7134. That will get you some.
But these are the majority of people and where they're listening.
Right to your door.
This is probably Cliff right here.
With all of the flavors.
Yeah.
Like spicy
I'm gonna bet you
butter
that's
hot,
Cliff.
garlic hot,
Yeah.
atomic hot, ranch
So-
hot buffalo, chipotle, chili, all American, spicy lemon pepper, just to name a few. Oh, you want me to keep going? Yeah, country fried, mild barbecue, honey barbecue, honey mustard.
Doesn't show I-40. No, that may not be Cliff. That's Kamak Village.
Just call the number 501-406-7134.
If they're not listening through the app, then they won't show that. Okay. So that's what these are. These are only. These are only the people that are listening through the app.
How many listen to the app? Go back and listen to the app.
How many?
Yeah.
It's
only two.
These are the 10 people that are listening.
Just 3 listening to the app.
Yeah, through those are listening. Yeah, those are listening through the app.
You're Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matter. Whether it's criminal
Refresh it.
bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney who's
So we have this now. So
Yeah, but you know, it used to break it down and tell us what state they would come listen to. They would listen to Little Rock. It say Little Rock. They would listen to
I don't know why it doesn't say that right now, but it's the same software.
Business owners, spread the word about your goods and services during the Little Rock Central Tigers 2019 football season.
Hey, put me in the thing so I can do our so I can boost our page.
Oh, you're talking about, okay, yeah, remind me about that. Okay, yeah, remind me. Because I was thinking about that the other day and it just slipped my mind. Because right now I'm so inundated with just trying to get this broadcast going.
But just make the app and then I go in there.
Okay.
To support the Tigers, proceeds to benefit the Little Rock Central High Tigers Athletic Fund.
You got it. Into Los answer to your aggravation.
I posted the Magga song
Exactly.
on my Facebook page.
Did they what?
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas and surrounding
Hey, if we can't come, tell them to come sit in with us tomorrow.
Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, welcome back to the show. Dave Coleman and Robert Webb in the house. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. Of course, the NAACP has, let's just be honest, they've hit on hard times.
They ain't been on hard times. They've been non-existent.
Well, you're right. They've literally been non-existent. I think this may be your caller here. And a lot of it is to their own detriment. They've done this to themselves because many people have, I think they transitioned to what they really stood for, and or at least lost their.
Funny.
They lost their focus. By the way, just quickly, we'll get to the caller here in just a moment. Have you heard this craziness about in the major leagues about Major League Baseball players buying over-the-counter male enhancement supplements?
No.
Dude, we're going to talk about that Saturday. It's crazy. It's crazy. They've been taking these pills, and, they don't realize that steroids and stuff like that are in these pills. And they take these.
Of course they know they're in there.
I
That's
know
the way you take it and not be detected.
But it is detected. That's
but you don't get suspended for it. All you gotta do is say, hey, wait, I didn't know.
No,
they still
you don't.
suspend them for it?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the major leagues issued a memo yesterday morning saying, hey, you're responsible for whatever goes in your body. And if a steroid shows up in your body, then you're going to get hit with a 40 to 80 game suspension. And there have already been 2 players who have been suspended. So it's not innocent. All of those major league players are not having ED, erectile dysfunction.
Man,
somebody has told them that, hey, go take these pills. You can buy them at the local 7-Eleven, and this will help you with your bat or your speed. So I just thought that was crazy. But anyway, 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. We got a call on the line. Caller, what's your name? Hey, Scott, how you doing, man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why you call him Mr.?
He said Mr. Coleman, Mr. Webb.
He said Brother Coleman.
I didn't know he did that. My bad. Please be respectful, Mr. Coleman. Don't be respectful, Mr. Webb. That'll get us both jumped off.
You better tell him. I push all the buttons up in here, dog.
He'll cut us both off, man. He in his feelings, dog. Don't get him in his feelings, Scott.
All right, so Scott, I've been getting your, and I guess I'll go ahead and, because you know what? You sent me a text this morning, like at 3:00 in the morning. Apparently not. And if I wouldn't have been up, you'd have got a good cussing. No, I'm kind of like you, Scott. I'm up at 3 a.m. every morning.
Yeah, y'all both got issues, man.
So that's why I got it. And I said, who is this sending me a text this early in the morning? And then I saw it. So welcome to the show. This is your first visit on the show, of course. This is Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. I understand that there's an election coming up for the NAACP. You are running for the local, give me the vernacular. Is it the local president or what is it exactly?
Yes, sir. So let's, because there's some, a little bit of a misunderstanding, but we can straighten it out real quick. So the Little Rock branch is conducting an election to fill the offices of president and secretary only. President and secretary only of the Little Rock branch. And of course, we're doing that because those offices were vacated when the previous president and secretary were removed by the national office.
Okay.
All right. So
that election will take place for members in good standing on September 14th, which will coincide with the Arkansas State Conference convention at the Presidential Holiday Inn over there on the interstate.
So you had to, Scott, if I'm not mistaken, a member in good standing means you would have had to have membership before August 14th, correct?
That is correct. You had to have been a member 30 days prior to the election.
So I can still join, I just can't vote for you. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, what it amounts to. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about why you're running for this. And give us a little background. Before you do that, give us a little background on you first, Scott. Tell us a little bit about you, what you do, who you are.
Okay. So
you laugh. What's wrong, man?
Born and raised here in Little Rock. Product of Little Rock School District. Hall High.
Oh no, we gotta hang up. No, you went to Hall, dog. Sorry. No. Hey, what do you say? Mall Hall on Turkey Day.
Yeah, those were the good old days.
Yes, they were. By the way, Scotty, did you grow up on Battery?
No, I grew up on Chester, 20.
Yeah, that's right, Chester. That's right.
And went away to attend college in Florida A&M in Tallahassee. United States Air Force. And really since the 80s, I've been an entrepreneur. I've been in the candy making business. I've owned a couple of salons. I've been really blessed to kind of follow my dreams and aspirations, and have been encouraged by, a lot of folks that too numerous to mention that have supported, my efforts. And so, because I come from a family of folks that have been in the struggle of civil rights, even before I came into existence, most notably my uncle Ernest Green, who was the first. Now this one you can stand up for, Mr. Coleman. My uncle Ernest Green, who was the first black graduate of Central High School, and and the other 8 that were part of that crew that were pushing for us to have access. And of course, there are a great many of us that have different opinions about integration and what it meant then, and especially what it means today. But here we are. And so, coming from that lineage of those types of people, grandfather who was the first black barber inspector, paternal grandfather who was one of the first black postmen, all that first black. And so we're still fighting for equal footing. And that's what I enjoy so much about your show, Mr. Coleman, is you give us these little nuggets that remind us of where we come from, what we're capable of. And hopefully that what will inspire us to do better. And so I throw my name in the ring to possibly provide some leadership and some vision that can move us forward. In fact, I'm focusing on the word advancement when it comes to National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. My focus is advancement. I think we've been protecting. I think we've been sustaining for the most part. It's the advancing part that I'm concerned about. Stuff up. I don't see enough advancement. Maybe we've been maybe it could be described that we've been in a defensive mode and not taking the offensive. make those kind of moves that will make a difference in our community. You know, if it pleases the body of those folks who are going to come out on the 14th and vote, and they decide in my favor, and they give me that responsibility, which I don't take lightly. You know, we're going to try to make some moves.
Scott, let me ask you a question. How many people are running for that local position here?
Right now, there's only one other person, Mr. Larry Hicks. And you guys as radio people, probably, I'm sure you guys know who Mr. Hicks is. I don't know how many other Little Rock folks would know him unless they listen to his show on 88.3 K. And I don't know, you guys don't compete, I'm sure. I think we're kind of all working in this together. But he's up the street up there at KABF. Larry's a graduate of UAPB. I think he's a resident from Kansas City, Kansas. Good brother. He's a really good brother. If I wasn't going to vote for me, I'd vote for him.
If you can, I've got listeners who I knew this question was going to come up. Can you briefly give us a synopsis of why the leadership was removed?
My honest answer is no. We were told by letter that, and when I say we, the membership in the Little Rock branch was informed that Mr. Dale Charles, who was president, and his wife Diane Charles, who was secretary, had been removed from office. We did not get a clearly defined reason why. Now, there's a lot of speculation. And for those who know a little bit about the formation, at least as of 6 months ago, back in March, they would know that Mr. and Mrs. Charles were not only president and secretary of the Little Rock branch, but they were also president and secretary of the state conference. Now, I'm not afraid to go out publicly and say that I think their removal had something to do with what took place in Crittenden County when that branch sued the national office and they were awarded a judgment of $100,000 that was paid to them among some other legal fees, some other money.
Say that again?
The Crittenden County branch sued the national office, and the judge awarded the branch $100,000. Now, the reason that they were awarded the money, I'm not absolutely certain. I think it had to do with oversight. And if Mr. Bankhead is out there listening, or if the Charles is out there listening, I wish they would call in and clear it up so that everybody will know once and for all what really happened. It's never been explained in writing specifically. This is the reason why. It just hasn't been explained.
Scott, I appreciate you coming on the show, and let me, and I will tell you that Rizal Aaron, who does a show on this station as well, is running for the state conference president as well, and he has some insight on that, and if he's listening, we'll have him to call in. But here is what I want to ask you about the NAACP, and let me just editorialize just for a moment. When I first moved back to Arkansas, I had lived in numerous states. In fact, I had the honor to being in Atlanta when Dr. King's the year before the national holiday was made, and then I had the pleasure of going back the first year that the national holiday was for celebrating Dr. King was made, and it was led by the NAACP. one of the things that bothered me so badly when I moved back to Little Rock, because as you said, your legacy with your uncle, Ernest Green, I had the pleasure of meeting him when he came to Central. I've got an autograph for him in my memorabilia. Huge fan of his. And what bothered me when I first moved back, because I call this city proudly the city of the Little Rock Nine. And I was so offended at the parade or whatever they want to call it, because for the NAACP to have such a rich heritage and to put on that event did not give light to the way it should have been. So I guess my question to you is, if you are elected, can you tell us how you're going to change the I guess you could say the persona of the Little Rock NAACP? Because if you go around this city now, my disdain for the NAACP is nothing personal. It's about what's not being done, and that's across this city when you talk to other black people. How are you going to change that perception?
So within the NAACP, and I'm borrowing this from the bylaws and constitution. There's actually a book, a real book, where anything that you want to know about the NAACP is written down. I mean, thoroughly. One particular passage covers standing committees, and they range from everything from beginning in alphabetical order from actual, which is kind of it's a talent presentation for young people, all the way to what's called WIN, Women in the NAACP. And that's in alphabetical order, everything in between. One of the ways that we can improve not just necessarily the image, but the functionality of the NAACP is for people to get involved. People have to make this work. It doesn't work simply because you have a membership. I can't tell you the number of people that I've met on the streets and I've interacted with, people that raised me in my church, Bethlehem Church, the 16th Estate, shout out to Reverend Tollfree. People that raised me, oh, I'm a life member. I'm a life member, and proud to say that they are life members. And yet have never, in the time that I've been back in Little Rock in the last 3 years, attended a general membership meeting. Or you have those folks that they had joined for a little while, they didn't particularly like the politics that existed, and they got out. Now, when I first came back, and it was my first introduction to Mr. Charles, I realized right away that he was an acquired taste. But I never could take away from Mr. Charles his passion for what he was doing, even when I didn't agree with it. And we had some moments. But he showed up every week. You have to show up. I have people right now that are telling me, yeah, I'm a member in good standing, but do I have to come out and vote? And it leaves me scratching my head. You're asking me, do you have to cast your ballot to change what's going on with what you find so disagreeable?
So, Scott, let me ask you this question, Scott. Are you, it sounds like to me, brother, that you are trying to say that you are the new guard? Is that what you're saying?
The new style!
Are you saying that you are the
new style?
You're trying to put words? No, it's not that.
Okay.
It's as simple as, I think there's certainly I wouldn't even call it a vision. I think there's an opinion. And I'm hoping that you brothers share, because I've been around you all. I know you better than probably I could ever express in this 10 minutes or so that we're talking today. There are things that you would like to see done, but they're not happening.
Right.
It's just not happening. It's not happening. And it's not going to happen until we make it happen. So the people that can vote a month, well, in 3 weeks, whenever the 14th is of September, those will be the people who are in good standing. That doesn't mean those are the people that have great ideas, or the only people that have great ideas. Those are the people whose membership was active, period. Now, normally, the local branch elections take place during the even years. So 2018 was the last time we elected local branch officers. And so the next time is scheduled for 2020. Odd years are set aside for state conference elections. And it alternates, and has been doing so, to our knowledge, for the past 100 years. And come to find out, the Little Rock branch was actually 100 years old last year. Last year. This branch was chartered November 1918.
What?
November
I didn't know that.
1918, the Little Rock branch was chartered.
1918.
We are one of the oldest branches in the country. We were 9 years from the date that the NAACP was founded. 9 years. Deep history. But you gotta keep the fires burning. You know? And collectively we have not done a good job of maintaining the fire. And yet we're still fighting the same fight. We're still getting lit. We're still on the outside looking in. We're still not taking care of each other. We're still not doing it. And it's not because we can't. Now it's because we choose not to.
Man, Scott.
So if you ask me if there's a new vision about this, no, ain't nothing new about what I'm saying. There's nothing new about this.
Well, there is something new about what you're doing, Scott. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, brother. There is something new about what you're doing.
It can't be.
Yeah, man.
It can't be.
Yeah, man. We ain't had brothers talking that kind of talk.
No, yes, we have. We've been talking it, but we haven't been doing it. Now, so
now hold on, Scott.
Listen, take the point. I saw it with some other folks at this Little Rock School District meeting. That was the first one, the first of four. They called it a forum. Now, I'm one of those. I'm one of those brothers that believes in conspiracy. And I'm thinking, now they've already decided what they're gonna do. Breaking it down slowly to us that haven't been at the table. And they're going to do this.
Right.
They're going to do this. Now, I get inside the room in the auditorium at Arkansas Baptist. I'm looking around the room. I said, okay, there's a few people of color in here. But as they start allowing people to go to the microphone and speak, there are no black people. Well, there was one brother that went to, I can't remember my brother's name, and he spoke eloquently. But he along with the senators, were the only black folk that had anything to say. No black teachers, no black parents. Because, I don't know, maybe they decided, look, man, it's a done deal. Those folks going to do what they're going to do. But they claim these are our children. Now, what disturbed me most was the people who were doing the most talking didn't look like me. And yet they were talking about how much they love the children that do look like me. And I'm thinking, are they just saying this because they're trying to protect their jobs? And we're still failing? What's really going on? And, brothers, I don't hold them responsible. Because I worked with VIPs, volunteers in public schools last year, Williams Elementary, and another shout out to Principal Green over there. And I know firsthand that our parents have got to participate in the education of their children. Because I'm working with children, 5th graders, who don't know their multiplication table. Who are still counting on their fingers when I send them to the board. And I'm threatening to break their fingers if I see your fingers move one more time.
Yeah,
that's what my grandmother would do, because she was a public school teacher. All of my folks have been school teachers. So I know what I can say and what I can't say.
Right on.
But I say it out of love.
Right on.
But 10-year-olds that are counting on their fingers because they've moved past factors greater than 6
By the way, Scott, one of my former teachers, Miss Evelyn Hemphill, said she was there. So, and she did speak. So you may not have heard her, but she's listening, and she said she did speak. And a long-time public school teacher.
I think Senator Joyce Elliott was moving toward the microphone. After that, I had enough. I had to leave the building.
So Scott, let me ask you. So if you are elected president, because I think, and this is not just here in Little Rock, but in all the cities that I've lived in, it seems to be the same malaise as it relates to the NAACP. And what I mean by that is that it seems that the mission of the NAACP got lost in all of these other isms. Although the NAACP was created by black and white people, but its main goal was, fighting for issues for black people. And I guess my first question to you is, what would be the first thing that you want to do if you are elected president? Because you mentioned the school system, the takeover of that school system. That is, based on what has went on in Little Rock as its history, that should be front and center. So what would be the first thing that you would like to target as the new president of the NAACP?
If this new form of teaching is well on its way to being in place.
Hey, Scott, one second, Scott.
What new form of teaching?
What are you talking about, Scott? Are you talking about the Ford NGL?
Are you talking about the Ford NGL program that we are very familiar with?
That too.
So they talked about that last night?
Let's go back to it. Let's go back to the origin. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of all of this. Regardless of the information that is put in, that is available, you still have to learn the information. I'm still talking to people who are living, who can tell me stories about lessons that they learned from books that had pages torn out of them. And yet those very same people are the doctors and attorneys and electricians that I know today that I will turn to for their services. So it wasn't that they didn't learn because there was information missing. They learned the information that was available. What I'm witnessing are children that are learning the information that's available. I don't care what it is. At Central High School, and I hope I'm not getting too far off the subject, but in Central High School, there's this idea that it's got this have and have not kind of existence. That on the fourth floor of Central High School is where all the advanced placement students are, and the other three floors will be everybody else. Well, guess what? Advanced placement is a choice. It's a choice. I talked to the counselor. I said, how do you become an advanced placement student? Well, you come in and you sign up. I'm like, oh. So there's nothing restricted. No. You just have to want to do the work. The work is a little bit more challenging, but you just simply have to want to do the work. This particular counselor I spoke to, who will remain nameless, said, look, when the Asian parents and the white parents, for the most part, come to Central, they come in with the expectation that their child is going to be in the advanced placement course, period. There is no discussion about it. We're not even going around. This is it. Now, granted, everybody isn't cut out, for that type of learning. Meaning, there's a degree of difficulty that comes with that. But it's a choice. When I was at Hall High School back in 1981, before there was anything that was even mentioned called advanced placement, there were a group of us that decided we were going to subject ourselves to chemistry and Latin and calculus and the most challenging English courses. We just decided that. without even, well, at least I didn't have parental permission. When my mama found out about it, I was in it. And I wasn't even an A student. I'll tell anybody. I was in there, but I was playing ball, football, that, Coach Elders and Coach Wade had me out there every day. But it was a choice. We're not advancing. I can't remember the last time I read about a black student from Central High School or Parkview or Hall or Fair or any of the Little Rock schools where there was a black student that graduated cum laude. I can't remember. And somebody out there in the listening audience correct me. Give me the name of the child that looks, I'm black, that looks like me, that graduated at the top of the class. So where is the excellence? Somebody tell me, where is the excellence? I don't see it. But now, we have to encourage that. There has to be an expectation. Can you guys help me?
Well, you make an excellent point. And being a graduate of Central, and certainly there is 2 levels over at that school, which I don't understand, just based on me being back for 4 years, how, the history of that school, how parents in this city could allow that to happen. But more importantly, and that's a parental dedication thing. But from the NAACP perspective, if you become president, are you going to be willing to fight for the reinstitution of the school system in Little Rock? Because right now, that's the major concern. That's at the forefront. And people in Little Rock have not had a voice, especially black people in this city. So I'm echoing what some of my listeners are writing on Facebook. What is the NAACP willing to do? Now, look, I don't have anything against the Charleses, but based on what I've seen, they haven't done anything for this city as it relates to black issues. Okay.
Against the Charleses either. Okay. Nothing at all. But it's not the Charleses. It does have something to do with NAA coming in and being supportive of what is the will of the people. Now, let's say whoever is the president after September 14th, and they're allowed to have a seat at the table. Then the question becomes, now who are they representing? Quite naturally, it would seem like they were representing the black community. So then the question has to become, well, what does the black community want? And what is the black community willing to do? And it's a two-sided coin. Because on one hand, I've lived long enough to know that some people have to be encouraged. And I see that as a role that the NAACP has to play more of. We've got to encourage people. And I don't want to even say incentivize, because that makes it sound like you're having to pay them off to get them to do right. Do right. Take care of your house. Don't let somebody else take care of your house. Because you can't come in my house unless I invite you in my house. But I owe it to my neighbors to keep my yard mowed and to keep the grass and keep the trash picked up. I owe it to them. So, what can I do to encourage black boys and black girls that look like me to be more excellent? All my church-going folk that believe in giving God their very best. You can't do that just on Sundays. You got to do that Monday through Saturday. If you're going to really be about that life. Huh?
Yeah. You make some good points. Now, let me say this, man. I just got to chime in for a minute, Brother Scott. Now, let me tell you, man, I think you're doing great stuff. And it is my desire, and I got to apologize, too, for letting you down. I told you at the forum, at the, the District 36, the District 36 forum they had at Gain Street.
Right.
I told you that I would be there. I apologize. I did not hold up my end of the bargain, but I'm telling you now, I apologize for that. You got me throughout, but I apologize for not holding up my end on getting myself in a position where I could be a part of the vote. But I want you to know that when you're elected, I'm there. Whatever you need, even though I'm kind of retired from advocacy, I'm there. Whatever you need, just give me a call. I'm there. But I got two questions for you. One, we always had these conversations about kids and about their parents. So the question I got for you is the same question I ask everybody. So if we have kids with bad parents, are we saying now that because a kid has bad parents, the kid should fail?
It's not that they should fail. We have to encourage them to do the best that they possibly can. But at the same time, we got to reach out to that parent. See, we're not dealing with the issue of economics. See, we haven't even begun to touch on that.
All right,
because
brother.
oftentimes my ability, and I have to offer this disclaimer, I know there's going to be some folks out there listening, they're going to throw their hands up when they hear this. I'm not a parent. I chose not to be a parent. I tried to get tried to marry a couple of these women. They wanted to be doctors and lawyers and astronauts and that. So we had to go our separate ways. So, but that's another show. But we have to help the parents be better parents. I can't eat. I gave you the example of when I volunteered last year at Williams Elementary. I was only able to see those students 2 days out of the week for 1 hour, an hour and a half. So no matter what I tried to pour into them, if it wasn't reinforced by the parent, when I saw them again the next week, if it was gone, we're starting all over again. And I'm talking to the student, and I'm trying to communicate with the parent. Reinforce multiplication tables. That's it. Multiplication table. Because if you get the multiplication table, you can learn everything else. Because it's one of those foundation pieces. It's a building block.
Right.
Now you can learn algebra, and you can learn trigonometry, and geometry, and calculus, because you know your multiplication table. You cannot pass a standardized test making little marks on your paper because you just spent 10 minutes trying to answer one question. That has to be, as they say, rote memory. You just know it because it is. You don't even have to know why. It would help if you understood why. But you got to be able to answer the question so you can move on to the next question in a standardized test. But if you spend too much time on one question, you'll never finish the test, and so you can't score as high.
Scott, let me.
These racial issues that they have to deal with on the job so that they can think clearly.
Scott, I agree. I agree, but Scott, just quickly, I agree with all of that. But the number one pressing issue in Little Rock today is the return of that school board to local control. So I'm going to ask you again, what will the NAACP under your leadership be willing to do to assist parents? Because I'm going to tell you, if you could see my feed right now on Facebook, that's all they're saying. And I'm going to be clear, I'm going to be honest with you. They're saying you're avoiding the subject. You're not answering the question. What will the NAACP do to make sure, at least join this fight to return local control to the parents?
But the NAACP, I'm going to come head on. I would be willing, I would support, if the parents thought that this is what is necessary. All right, let's fight. Now, let me tell you how we fight the fight. The NAACP Little Rock branch meets once a month at the Dunbar Community Center at 16th and Chester. 6 people show up. So we got 6 active members, maybe sometimes as many as 8 active members. Okay? So I go down here, let's say it is me, or whether it's Mr. Hicks. We go down there, we sit at the table, they say, well, who do you all represent? Well, we represent the community. Well, where they at? How much leverage do you really have? Because it ain't but a handful of y'all ain't scaring nobody. So, well, don't worry about that, we're working on it. And so we sit there and we address those issues that are in the interest of the community. The community says they want control. Let's give them control. Let's look at the policy. Let's figure out how, because I'm convinced, after having watched, observed what I saw at Baptist College, and I hope I'm wrong, but I just feel like they have made up their mind what it's going to be. Because they could have simply said, well, we're going to have a vote 2-3 months from now that will decide once and for all if the Little Rock schools are going to be controlled by the citizens or is it going to be controlled by the state? Once and for all. So now, do we have to sign a petition to get that on the ballot? If so, you got my full support. Every day, all day. I'll be in Kroger, sit out there with the little petition sheet and the clipboard, begging everybody I run across, sign this petition, if that's going to get it on the ballot. I mean, what else can, or if somebody has a better idea, I'm open for that, and we'll sit down and we'll strategize how to implement it.
Scott, I like that, man. You
Is that more direct? I mean, am I still skirting around the issue?
Well, they're saying...
But we got to have people that are going to be willing to stand out there at the different Krogers and Walmarts and Family Dollars and on the street corners willing to do it. Now, again, we got 6 people we can count on that's going to show up, and they over 70. Ain't no young folk in this fight.
So you're the only young cat in the fight.
There's only one other, Daniel Bowler. He teaches at Central High School, the business teacher, and he's over the high school chapter.
Okay.
We don't even have a representative at each high school.
What?
And yet folks want to sit back and complain and throw darts, but they don't want to get in the fight because they don't want to get their hands dirty.
Brother,
but that's okay. That's okay.
Hey, Scott, are you a preacher?
I take responsibility for that.
Scott?
Because I take it personally that I haven't made this perfectly clear about what we're up against.
That's true.
Because we can't stand too many more black cheers and the brother down there in Jacksonville. We can't do that too many more times.
I agree with you. So let me ask you.
Okay.
So Scott, so you said you only had 2 brothers. So let me ask you this, brother. You've been a member of NAACP since you've been back, right?
I've been a member for 4 years.
For 4 years, okay. My question to you is, man, you're coming out. So they've had the takeover was June 28, 2015, and the NAACP, if I remember correctly, did not even issue a statement on the matter, right? What would you do? Now, I want to make sure I ask you the question directly because I want to make sure you understand my question. What would you do specifically as the president of NAACP? What would you do directly?
So we're going to round up the troops, first of all. We're going to find out who's on our side.
Okay.
Then we're going to find out what options do we have in order to get this matter turned over. Because there were some people that asked that question at the Baptist College. They were asking specifically, what do we have to do in order for this situation to be turned over to us? And they were never given a clear, concise answer. Well, we're just gathering information. Now, I wasn't trying to mock the brother when I said it the way I said it. But anyway, I'm gonna step away from that. What they were told was they were gathering information. And people were complaining about not being able to get, that everyone in the meeting couldn't get to the microphone to say their piece. Which was, to me, a waste of time to begin with.
Right.
The question needs to be, the response needs to be, this is what you need to do. And this is when you need to do it by. So we can stop all this running around in circles. I ain't in the tail chasing business. I don't do that. Tell me what I need to do to get what I want. That is, if you want me to have what I want. Because now you have the control, and I'm talking about the state, you have the control, and so you can decide. So somebody knows we got to figure out, be it by lawsuit, if that's necessary, by hook or by crook, of how to get to the bottom of how do we get control? What hoops do we have to jump through? And nobody's saying that. Or maybe they haven't been asked. So I'm asking, what do we need to do? Don't tell me anything else but what we need to do.
Well, people are asking. There's no doubt about it. I mean, since I've been back in this city, I've been in this fight, and state representatives, local leaders have been asking that question. At this point, and I've said for the longest, that at this point, you've got to start fighting fire with fire, because it's clear to me, and it's clear to many others around this city, that the state does not want to give back local control. So we're beyond asking at this point, brother. Well, and exactly. That's where it needs to go now, because it's pretty clear based on what they've done is that they're not interested in giving back. In fact, the pretenses of them taking over the school district was false in the first place, okay? And then while the school system was taken over, well, and let me finish. Well,
who's going to introduce the lawsuit, right? We got to find somebody who has a what am I trying to say? Who is in the state of Arkansas, who can step into a courtroom and present this before a judge. Now, does that mean we have to pay them? I don't know. So we're going to go around, and whether pro bono or otherwise, we got to find somebody that's competent enough to stand in the fight. Because we ain't going to lose. We got to find somebody who can win. Does that mean we have to pay them? Well, guess what? If we had to pay them today, we couldn't fight this fight. Because the NAACP doesn't have the means to do that. Now, are we going to bring enough members and folk who are willing to make donations to the Legal Defense Fund or to the NAACP so that we can hire somebody? Well, now we're cooking with gas. But if people stay at home and sit on their hands, I ain't giving them nothing, then guess what? We can only be as effective as what we have to work with. And to stand out in the middle of the street, bumping gums and screaming at the top of our voices is not going to get it. That will not get it done. It's going to take money to make this happen.
Good point. Good point. But let me just be honest with you. What the NAACP is up against as it relates to participation is a lack of, well, I should say, years of inaction as it relates to things that are going on. And it's not just Little Rock. It's around this country. In the multiple states I've lived in, we hear the same arguments that the NAACP has lost its focus as it relates to civil rights struggles. They're more concerned about other people's rights than black rights. How are you going to address that?
Well, unfortunately, we've reached a point in time where we're happy. And some of us have had this discussion around the fire about what integration really meant. I'm from a family who's, I'm one person removed from the person who was the first black graduate of Central High School. So my father is Ernest Green's younger brother. And if I enter into a conversation with somebody that says, man, I don't know, we should have done that, people start raising their eyebrows and talking about blasphemy. Some people. Then there are others that say, you right about that? I can only speak for myself. I think because we pay taxes, we should have access to anything that our taxes go toward. Period. Point blank. When I don't pay taxes in, that belongs to another man, that's his. I ain't never begging anybody for anything. You don't want me in your house? I won't be coming to your house. You don't even have to worry about it. I'm not going to beg you to feed me. I'm not going to beg you to clothe me. I'm going to take care of myself. But we fell into this place where we gave it all away. And now here we are today, asking what happened, what went wrong. And it's no mystery. But it takes responsibility and accountability to be in that place where you can call your own shots. I'm hoping that I can encourage some, be it entrepreneurs or folks who just want to support one another, the ones that are already out there. We cannot continue living like this and expect something different to happen.
Hey, Scott, I hate to cut you off. I hate to cut you off, Scott, but we got to go. We've come to the end of the show. And hopefully we'll get you on again and get some more of your insight.
Get you in the studio.
Yeah, we'd love to have you in studio. So pick a day next week if you're available to come to the studio, and let's have a. All right, man. Hey, appreciate it, and thanks for calling in, man. Good stuff as always. All right, we'll be in touch, okay? All right. That's Scott Green. I remember Scott as Little Scotty back in the day.
Okay.
Competed against him. Of course, we went to Central. He went to Hall. A lot of my friends went to Hall as well. So back then, we knew each other. So we'll keep you posted on what's going on and how this moves forward. We got to go, Robert. Good show as always. Appreciate you coming in.
Hey, man, that was a great show, man.
No ifs, ands, or buts
about
to
Scott, man. I hope he wins.
Yeah.
He sounds like a brother who do some positive change. You got my support all the way through.
Well, we've definitely got to get, something has to change. That old saying, definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
That's it.
And there's got to be a change. So we'll see how it goes. But go ahead.
Hey, man, spend money on community. If you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
And as Brother Malcolm X once said, power in defense of freedom is greater than power on behalf of tyranny and oppression. Because power, real power, comes from our conviction, which produces action, uncompromising action. Peace, my brothers and sisters. See you tomorrow.